social unrest and anxiety, it is even more important to stay true to oneself. When facing personal adversity, oppression, poverty, and illness, it is essential to maintain one's integrity. Being a human is not about being a good or kind person, achieving status or wealth, seeking the approval and praise of others, or becoming successful in the future. It is about living with dignity, peace of mind, prospects, and being truly human, not like a ghost, demon, monster, devil, or beast. I will first list the following 28 principles as the fundamental knowledge for being a human. Never break your promises. Keeping your word is the foremost duty of being a human. Once you break your trust with someone, it is difficult to restore it. A single act of betrayal can have lifelong consequences. Maintain a sense of gratitude. Regardless of who they are, if someone has shown you even the slightest kindness, remember it forever. As a result, always respect and honor your parents, express gratitude to teachers, masters, and mentors, cherish the bond of siblings, and be thankful to anyone who has helped you in any situation. Be grateful to the opposite sex with whom you have had intimate relationships. Although it may be impossible to fully repay a favor, always remember it and treat those who have helped you with utmost respect, using gentle words, humble gestures, and a warm expression. Do not argue with elders. Do not bully those who are weaker, poorer, or disadvantaged. Do not ridicule those with physical disabilities. Do not bully widows, widowers, or individuals with disabilities. Prioritize the well-being of the elderly and women when there are advantages or benefits in the current situation. Do not waste even a morsel of food. Do not compete with superiors for recognition. Use only what you earn through your own labor and never exploit even the smallest advantage. In a group, listen more to those who are more important than yourself and speak less. Expand outwardly and do not compete for profits with siblings. Do not disrespect deities, gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints. Do not enter someone's home or bedroom without permission. Do not pocket anything found on the ground. Do not interfere in other people's affairs unless asked. Never intrude upon others' privacy, including refraining from reading their letters and phone messages, and avoiding engaging in gossip. Especially avoid prying into the privacy of close friends, family, and romantic partners. Do not voluntarily report the crimes of close relatives to the authorities. Do what you are capable of doing and do it well. Do not undertake tasks beyond your ability. Do what you truly enjoy from the depths of your heart, rather than being led by vanity and money. Have at least 2 sincere friends who can mutually support each other. Adapt to local customs and do not cling stubbornly to your own opinions. Avoid having peculiar tastes and demands. Learn to accept things as they are. Don't scheme and strive for grand achievements, and only accept rewards when deserving. In any situation, at any time, prioritize harmonious interactions with others. Do not engage in theft, robbery, gambling, drug trafficking, rebellion, deception, abduction activities and organizations. Never attempt to change others. Act in accordance with your nature, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, accept things as they are, and take advantage of opportunities that arise. Obey laws and regulations. Even if 99 out of 100 people disregard the law, you must persist in adhering to it. Foster independent thinking and entrepreneurship from a young age. These 28 principles are the basic guidelines for being a human. Being a human is difficult, sometimes feeling helpless in the world. But while the body may be beyond our control, our hearts are within our control. As long as we adhere to these basic principles throughout our lives, gradually, we will distance ourselves from suffering and calamities, moving towards good fortune and auspiciousness, and lay a solid foundation for our future cultivation, enabling us to embark on the path of becoming celestial beings or Buddhas and embarking on a spiritual journey towards heaven. Being a Human, Knowledge 2. Xiefeng. October 4, 2022. Observe the social upheavals, rampant epidemics, frequent disasters, widespread hunger, and various movements throughout history. People were deeply involved, yet there were always those who remained unscathed because they upheld the integrity of being human. If you don't believe in karma and consequences, then go ahead and commit evil acts and join forces with the wicked. If you believe that heaven does not spare anyone, then learn the knowledge of being human and become a true human being. Do not define or pass judgment on others. Only the divine can discern right from wrong, and the Tao judges our merits and demerits. In the grand script of universal life, human cognitive abilities are insignificant. If we define and pass judgment on others, we may make grave mistakes and create great misfortune. Do not believe hearsay. Unless verified personally or scientifically, regardless of the source of information, even if it comes from authorities or experts, simply listen to it without fully believing it. Especially in times of confusion and moral ambiguity, what is attacked and insulted may be the most noble, and what is praised and admired may be the most vile and despicable. Respect life and do not harm any living beings. Especially, do not harm snakes, turtles, or cranes, and above all, do not harm human lives. Avoid borrowing money unless absolutely necessary, especially avoid going into debt for consumption. Minimize accumulating debts of gratitude. Debts of gratitude are like divine shackles. Once incurred and left unpaid, they will bind you for life. Endure humiliation, if necessary, but do not kneel easily. Once you kneel, it will be difficult to stand again. Never speak or act in a mystical or mysterious manner. Respect facts, respect science, respect logic, and respect spiritual perception. Absolutely refrain from doing things secretly or in a sneaky manner. Conduct affairs according to established procedures, without relying on bribery or connections. Do not exploit legal loopholes, do not exploit the weaknesses of others, and do not violate the arrangements of heaven. Focus on accomplishing tasks rather than engaging in idle chatter. Discuss matters more and talk less about people. Do not attack the homeland, the people, or the ancestors. Stay away from popular figures to avoid being influenced by fleeting trends. Do not tie yourself to the bandwagon of pity just because someone else is pitiable. Do not fabricate false facts. Regardless of where or when, and regardless of the person involved, honesty is always the best policy. Regarding private matters between consenting men and women, do not stand on a moral high ground to make judgments or follow the opinions of others. Cultivate good speech and refrain from generating evil speech. Let everything progress naturally and reach its proper conclusion. Avoid forcing things. Forcing goes against the natural way and will inevitably sow the seeds of calamity. Admit when you don't understand something instead of pretending to know. Once you pretend to know, you will be laughed at and troubled. Complete what you start and bring closure to relationships with others. Without completion, you will end up adrift like a floating duckweed. The world changes, calamities persist, dynasties rise and fall, and unexpected events occur. The journey of life is filled with crises and risks. It is impossible to escape the heavenly net by relying solely on human wit and intelligence. Only by upholding the integrity of being human do we have hope of navigating our life's sailboat through stormy waves and reaching the shores of our ideals. 3. Being a Human, Knowledge, 3. Xiefeng. October 7, 2022. It is necessary to read the book without words, which contains all the knowledge of being human. Reading the book without words is a way to communicate with nature and have a dialogue with the greatest creator. The knowledge accumulated by humanity, apart from books that reveal the mysteries of nature such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology, is mostly garbage. The knowledge in fields such as politics, economics, sociology, history, and humanities distorts reality or provides short-sighted explanations of certain eras or phenomena. They are not sufficient as the basis and reference for being human. For example, the popular trend of success literature in recent times is nothing but harmful. Even philosophy, which is a mental game, is not a necessary condition for being human. All things and phenomena in nature are books without words, and all the joys, sorrows, separations, reunions, and changes in human society are also books without words. Reading the sky, the earth, people, animals, plants, insects, and microorganisms, as well as social phenomena, is reading the book without words. People may deceive each other, but the book without words will not deceive. Therefore, it is best to listen less to what people say but rather listen to what the universe and all things are saying. Embrace your fate. Nature presents an array of forms, and the inherent nature and trajectory of each life form are predetermined from the day of its birth. Throughout countless millennia, no life form has altered its fundamental nature and life path. Although humans possess thoughts and creative abilities, fundamentally they are no different from the countless other life forms. From the moment of birth, each person's life's merits and demerits, fortunes and misfortunes, and life's trajectory have already been predetermined. Trying to change this destiny is equivalent to choosing one's parents, the era of birth, and the environment, which is entirely impossible. Therefore, accepting one's destiny is the best choice. Accepting one's destiny leads to contentment, understanding, adaptability, happiness, and even spiritual enlightenment. Not accepting one's destiny leads to impatience, anger, resentment, setbacks, hardships, and calamities. Follow your nature. Following your nature means doing what you genuinely like. However, people generally cannot follow their nature due to considerations for the needs of those around them, supporting their families, social responsibilities, legal constraints, public opinion, and more. Those who can truly follow their nature are few in number. Nature is Buddha, and following your nature is being a Buddha. Nature is celestial being, and following your nature is being a celestial being. What does it mean to follow your nature? If you desire to own a luxurious mansion and have several servants serving you, it is not following your true nature but rather succumbing to vanity and desire. It is following your ego and conforming to society's values. To follow your nature means that if you want to sing folk songs on the street in the middle of the night, you can do so. If you want to commute naked on a scorching hot day, you can do so. If you want to stay away from someone, you can do so. If you want to get close to someone, you can do so, and so on. Do not imitate others or take them as your role models. Never try to learn, imitate, or become someone else. Each person is unique, and no one can ever become another person. Those who excel possess innate talents and missions that cannot be acquired through imitation. Therefore, be yourself. Learn to create. Everything we see is created. Creation is the source of joy and vitality in life. True sweetness and happiness do not come from material pleasures but from spiritual and mental enjoyment. Creation is the primary source of spiritual and mental enjoyment. Therefore, strive to create something out of nothing and make efforts in creation. Look at the super-celestials of the Celestial Islands continent, each one of them is skilled and adept at creation. Even the infinite vitality they manifest is a result of their creative thinking. Do not chase after trends. Trends may come forcefully, but they will eventually turn into bubbles. For example, the trends of buying houses and cars, farmers rushing into cities, or college students striving to become civil servants, these endless waves of trends. If one's life does not settle down and instead constantly chases after trends, their life will be reduced to a bubble. Accumulate energy throughout life. To achieve great ideals, one relies on abilities rather than luck. To ensure a worry-free life in terms of livelihood, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and illness, one relies on personal abilities. Depending on the nation, the government, the system, or future generations for support is a gamble in life. All reliance on the external world is a gamble in life. Relying on the moral and ethical values preached by human culture to achieve one's beautiful ideals is an illusory and beautiful mirage. Therefore, lifelong energy accumulation is essential. This energy is not primarily material or meticulously cultivated social connections, but rather one's personal character, inner depth, and survival capabilities. Maintain lifelong diligence. As long as one is alive, whether in their 30s, 40s, 70s, or 80s, they should never have the idea of, I can enjoy life now. Instead, they should maintain a mindset of, I hear the Tao in the morning, and I die content in the evening. Continuously learn, explore, study, and contemplate, continuously elevate one's life's realm to deeper, broader, and more profound multidimensional time and space. Maintain an open mindset. Due to the accumulated influence of history and culture in our consciousness, we instinctively consider certain knowledge as truth. In eras when women bound their feet, men wore braids, and virtuous arches were erected for married women, we considered these practices as natural. In certain specific periods, we may even consider unmarried cohabitation as a crime. Such distorted perceptions tell us that what we staunchly defend may be the most ignorant thing. The era is progressing, and humanity will eventually break free from the ignorant prejudices and move towards civilization. What is universally accepted today, when viewed from the perspective of future civilization, will be recognized as incorrect. What is considered right today may be found to be wrong tomorrow. Therefore, it is necessary to maintain an open mindset as a human being. Do not feel the need to condemn or attack present irrational phenomena or events. All knowledge representing civilization may appear irrational and unreasonable during periods of ignorance. Decades or centuries later, people will realize that those thoughts and things considered wrong today are, in fact, the most reasonable and rational phenomena. The summaries provided in Being a Human Knowledge, 1, Being a Human Knowledge, 2, and Being a Human Knowledge, 3, offer initial guidelines and standards for being human. Knowledge about being human is extensive, ranging from cultivating upbringing, self-cultivation, and self-restraint to the enhancement of EQ, IQ, and SQ, ultimately enabling one to navigate through the trivialities of daily life and complete the journey of life perfectly, leading to the sublimation of life to heaven. This is a profound subject that requires further contemplation and deepening of the connotations and extensions of being human. May everyone strive for perfection as a human being and make the most of their journey in this human world. Breaking Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 3. Xiefeng. March 4, 2022. Life is enriched through possession, while life withers through possession. When people travel by train, they buy a ticket, enter the station, board the train, travel for a distance, disembark, and exit the station, simple and effortless. Rarely does a passenger want to buy and possess the train they are traveling on, nor do they wish to stay on the train indefinitely. Why don't passengers want to buy and possess the train? Because it is unnecessary, and ownership would become a burden. Likewise, people do not desire to possess commercial airplanes or large cruise ships because they are merely using them for one journey. Perhaps they will only use them once in a lifetime, so why invest time, energy, and money to own them? However, the fallacy lies in the fact that despite knowing we are merely traveling through this earthly realm for a short period, where everything on earth is not worth possessing and even if possessed, it will eventually have to be relinquished, why have humans tirelessly racked their brains over what to possess? Why are they even willing to pay the price of their own and others' lives to possess illusory dreams along their journeys? Let's assume we have 1 million in cash. Is it better to use that 1 million to buy a house, or to temporarily rent someone else's house and use the remaining money for other purposes? For example, renting a house for 1 year with a rental payment of 20,000 yuan. Renting for 50 years would amount to 1 million yuan. From the perspective of life, buying seems better, providing a sense of security and becoming capital to flaunt to others. However, from the perspective of life's meaning, renting is, of course, better because by paying 20,000 yuan annually, one would still have plenty of money left to invest in other fields. This investment may generate more wealth, not only enough to pay the annual rent of 20,000 yuan but also leave a surplus. In other words, after 50 years, one would still have 1 million yuan in hand, while buying the house outright would leave one penniless. Some may argue that buying a house preserves its value, while money in hand may depreciate due to inflation. However, this is also a fallacy. Houses depreciate every year and may even collapse, while money in hand has the possibility of both depreciating and appreciating. Therefore, we do not analyze or speculate on these contingent factors. What we are analyzing now is whether a possession is worthwhile. The mistaken belief of striving to possess something is a human fallacy, also the root cause preventing humans from living a heavenly life. People feel secure when they possess something. It satisfies not only their practical needs but also their psychological desires. Consequently, the goal of their entire lives becomes to possess more: land, houses, cars, status, wealth, honor. Moreover, they desire to possess people, such as in a marital relationship, where each claims ownership of the other: this is my man, this is my woman, this is my child, and so on. If you were to ask someone, "What do you possess?" and they answer, "I have a villa and a luxury car. I own a company and a business. I have 200 acres of land. I have 30 cows. I have an iPhone," people would look at them with envy, respect, and even admiration. However, if the answer is, "I have nothing," people would look at them with disdain, contempt, and even scorn. When the mistaken view of life, and values becomes a general principle for the masses, mistakes turn into correctness, fallacies turn into truth, and heaven turns into hell. When a person dedicates their lifetime and energy to possessing more and more things, they lose the qualifications to appreciate the artistic charm of life and obtain a ticket to heaven. Heaven is heaven precisely because every life possesses nothing, it is a state of having nothing. Paradoxically, it is because every life possesses nothing that it achieves the result of possessing everything. When we possess something, we feel secure, and the more we possess, the more fulfilled our lives become. Our vanity attains maximum satisfaction. However, precisely because of our possessions, we are alienated from heaven, and this is the withering of life. Check if you are a gambler. Xiefeng. May 22, 2020. Do you gamble? Check this out. What is a gambler? It is anyone who wants to win rich rewards by betting their money, youth, future, and life on uncertain things which they self-identify as certainty. Gamblers lose everything that they begin with, including the clothes on their backs, eventually. Are there any who earn good lives by gambling? Casino dealers can do very well, but they are not really gambling because the games are all stacked in their favor, but most people who participate in gambling will lose and will end up with crushing losses. The truth is simple and clear, but people still want to gamble. All are gambling. I studied carefully and discovered the surprising phenomenon that almost everyone gambles, with marriage being the biggest gamble in life. You cannot be sure of its outcome, you can never fully understand the other person's personality, outlook, temperament, character, interests, and other factors, but you are betting your whole youth and your entire life on them. You expect to be happy, joyous, harmonious, and blessed, and expect to remain in love with each other for your lifetime, but then what happens? It is not necessary to analyze the results. The eventual result of all gambling is that the gamblers all lose. Since marriage is a big gamble, the result is of course tragic. Participating in religion and becoming a believer is also gambling. You base your destiny and future by betting on the religious rituals, ideas, practices, and beliefs that you firmly believe are correct, but is your religion the absolute truth? Almost every religion claims that theirs is the only correct belief, but this is only its own wishful thinking. Can it withstand the challenges of facts, science, logic, and spiritual perception? Regarding the three major religions, Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism, they are each contradictory in terms of life and death, so which one is right? After death, are there reincarnations or merely lying quietly and waiting unconsciously for a final judgment and possible resurrection? If you are not sure, then are you not gambling? Christianity practices monogamy, Islam allows men to have 4 wives, and Buddhists do not marry at all to become monks and nuns. Which one is consistent with the truth of the universe? It is said that there are more than 1,000 political parties in the world. No matter which one you choose to join to become a member of, you will still be doing the equivalent of gambling in a casino. Political parties are contenders for power and interest, as long as you compete and race for them, there will be winners and losers. Anything that has winners and losers is a gamble. Therefore, partisans are also gamblers. Do you have children? If your main purpose of giving birth to children is to bring glory to your ancestors and to protect and support yourself in your old age, then you are gambling, because whether your children can bring glory to your ancestors or protect and support you in your old age is unknown and produces a questionable future. Is not putting your hard work, sweat, and hope on uncertain outcomes gambling? Are you not a gambler? Do you spend time, energy, and money on interpersonal relationships? If so, you are gambling. Whether it is for benefit and safety, or for affection and entertainment, as long as you establish special relationships with others, you are gambling. You cannot guarantee whether the special relationships you have forged will be blessings or curses, or whether you are putting yourself at risk or bringing in noble allies. Do you trade stocks, engage in venture investments, support a company financially? If any of these are yes, then you are gambling because you do not know what any of the outcomes will be. You are just taking risks and thinking wishfully about getting generous returns. You can never be sure whether the results will be counterproductive. How different are these endeavors from going into casinos with the intention of winning big money? Whether it is a battlefield, officialdom, a workplace, business, love, a family, a teaching field, or a relationship, its nature is the same as that of casinos. Once you enter any field, you are gambling, you are a gambler. As long as you invest your time, energy, physical strength, mental energy, and even your future on something that cannot be determined for its developmental direction and future results, then you are gambling and you are a gambler. Wake up now and ask yourself, what on earth are you here for? Are you here for a huge gamble? If you think gambling is fun and exciting, then play as much as you like. Anyway, everything is empty in the end, so why not enjoy it? However, if you know that emptiness is not empty, then you had better think deeply about life. Check if you are following the road of devils. Xiefeng. March 16, 2011. Have you ever experienced afflictions, vexation, anxiety, sadness, and fear? Have you been cheated, bullied, blackmailed, oppressed and humiliated by others? Have you felt frustrated and desperate at life and life? Do you know why all this should happen? Let me tell you, all this is the work of the devil's program. All this happens because many people are walking on the road of devils. The program of the devil tempts people with money, wealth, fame, position, power, beautiful women, and ease and comfort to enter marriage and family, nation and state, political party and religion, businesses, cultivation groups, and various organizations. As a result, these people are kept busy rushing about for all these matters. They would rack their brains and take great risks to achieve these purposes. For these purposes they would shout their support, cause harm to others, and do damage to other life forms and the nature. People are walking on the road of devils when they struggle for their own interest, for their family's interest, for their nation's interest, for their country's interest, for their political party's interest, for their religion's interest, for their company's interest, and for their organization's interest, and when they each try to cheat the other by sheer cunning and falsehood and grab at each other's throat. Why should things fare like this? Why does not the greatest Creator stop us? The principle goes like this: unity of opposites is a law of the universe, superior and inferior, up and down, bright and dark, leader and the masses, hell and heaven, higher order of life and lower order of life, man and ghost, man and other animals and plants, carnivores and herbivores. Otherwise, life cannot go on, and the great drama of the universe cannot be staged. It is just like the case of a man for whom eating and drinking form opposites with defecations. The opposites can be united and complement each other. In addition, there is a principle of the universe, namely the sum of positive energy and negative energy is zero. Therefore, everything must be symmetrical, and there must be balance between yin and yang, and loss and gain. What one gets in and what one pays out should be orderly, and the power of angel should hold the power of devil in check. To be more specific, in order to survive, man should have animals and plants to provide for his existence. The life at the lower order must serve the life at higher order. Then who will be the man, and who will be the animals and plants? Some people will go to heaven, but who will go to hell to maintain a balance? There are leaders, but there must also be the masses. Thus, the devil's program is necessary. Without it, the universe will lose its balance. The survival of life cannot be guaranteed, and the whole universe will be listless and pale. Actually, the devil Satan is a deity, an archangel, and chief angel, who is toiling to maintain the zero sum of positive energy and negative energy. Burdened with notoriety and bad name, he is serving the life of the whole universe. He must deliver many life forms to the lower order of life and lead many life forms to hell. Thus, when a person is walking on the road of devil, he is making his way to the lower order of life and the hell. The devil will not show any appreciation for this but will say instead, "What an ignorant fool you are." Now let's see whether you have taken the road of the devil. If you have one of the following 18 items, then be careful, you are walking on the road of the devil. You are in marriage and family, rushing about for your own family. You are striving and struggling for your own country, nation, religion, political party, organization, or group. You are concentrating yourself on making money and worrying and rushing about to amass your wealth. You are racking your brain and sparing no effort to win a good fame or secure a high position for yourself. You are stealing, contending, or robbing, mugging, or killing, pilfering, cheating, corrupting, bribing, or accepting bribes, or requiting kindness with enmity. You are doing something in the secret, which you are afraid of being discovered. You are bullying, oppressing, blackmailing, exploiting, maltreating, humiliating, or trampling on others. You break your word and do not keep your promise, always trying to find an excuse or reason to exculpate yourself from your fault or crime. You are eating things you are not supposed to eat, using things you have no right to use, and doing things you are not entitled to do. You are affronting or desecrating the greatest creator, or affronting or desecrating God and Buddha, or affronting or desecrating sages and saints, or affronting or desecrating ancestors, or affronting or desecrating president of the country, or affronting or desecrating your own parents, or affronting or desecrating others. You are threatening, abducting, or controlling others and restricting their freedom in the name of love or other excuses. You are propagating and publicizing incorrect outlooks on life, value, life, and the world. You are inciting or abetting others to plot a rebellion. You are spreading gossips and rumors to ruin the close and harmonious relations between others. You are jealous of others' joy and happiness, and you feel resentment at others' freedom and blessing. You are always envying, or complaining, or reprimanding, or hating, or detesting, or attacking, or hurting others. You are always making comparison with others, or prompting others to make comparisons. You are polluting the rivers, the land and the air with chemical materials, waste water, and waste gases, or polluting others' spirit and soul with negative, passive and pessimistic mood. If you have any one of the above 18 items, then you are walking on the road of devil. You should wake up and realize your mistakes and rein in at the brink of precipice, before it is too late to repent. Where should I go after turning back from the cliff? Answer: walk on the road to heaven and follow the way of the greatest creator. Classification of people. Xiefeng. On the surface, there doesn't appear to be much difference between one person and another. We all have the same organs, senses, and bodily functions. We all eat, drink, excrete, and engage in activities like walking, sitting, and lying down. However, once we engage with someone, ask them to perform a task, or have a conversation, we quickly realize that people are vastly different from one another. Most individuals tend to believe that they are not much different from others, with distinctions primarily revolving around differences in wealth and social status. In reality, the variations among people are primarily rooted in their spirituality and wisdom. To help us understand what kind of individuals we are and to provide a sense of direction for personal growth and goals in life, I classify people into 5 categories: ignorant people, worldly people, mortals, sages, and saints. By considering these categories, you can assess where you currently stand in your life journey. Ignorant people. Basic characteristics: they lead instinct-driven lives, often with disordered lifestyles and no clear life goals. Their values are in chaos, and they struggle to prioritize and distinguish between what's essential and what's not. They spend more time engaging in mindless actions than using their intellect. Instincts overpower emotions and rationality. They lack proper self-assessment and an understanding of life's meaning. Their lives are often marked by confusion, frustration, and erratic emotions. They are arrogant, blindly optimistic, and feeling superior when successful, pounding one's chest, feeling pessimistic and disappointed, and blaming the heavens and others when facing setbacks. They are quick to anger, easily irritable, often unreasonable, and susceptible to manipulation by others. They admire heroes, prefer excitement and dramatic events, and are willing to make great sacrifices for their friends. They have no secrets, are straightforward, and lack a sense of responsibility toward family, society, and others. They are selfless and without faith. Worldly people. Basic characteristics: people who live by desire, with the central focus of life being money, fame, status, and beauty. They enjoy flaunting, boasting, and showcasing themselves. They like to praise others and be praised by others. Every word and action revolve tightly around their own interests. When their interests are threatened or harmed, they disown even their closest relatives, be it siblings, friends, companions, colleagues, or superiors and subordinates. They disregard national and ethnic interests, group and family interests, and principles of benevolence, righteousness, courtesy, wisdom, and trust, as well as laws, rules, and regulations. To achieve their goals, they resort to any means, and they repay kindness with enmity. They have a narrow perspective, seeking only personal gain. They heed rumors and readily exaggerate them. They spread gossip without distinguishing between truth and falsehood. They meddle in conflicts, regardless of the consequences. When it comes to acquiring knowledge, they are particularly obsessed with fringe theories, strange tales, conspiracy theories, and privacy breaches. They enjoy hopping from one thing to another, seeking attention. They excel at empty talk and making far-fetched references. Worldly people enjoy engaging in superficiality and also delight in nitpicking, interfering with, and critiquing other people's lives and lifestyles. They are not concerned with reason and fairness, show no mercy when they are right, excel at finding loopholes and seizing advantages, and lack compassion and empathy. They pay little attention to public hygiene, are selfish, and constantly feel that society and others owe them. In places with many disputes, you find worldly people. In families lacking harmony, you find worldly people. Mortals. Basic characteristics: they are people who live based on emotions, and the central focus of their lives is family, relatives, friends, colleagues, classmates, groups, ancestors, countries, and nationalities. Their minimum life standards include having enough food and drink, having healthy and successful children, enjoying a harmonious and happy family, and living in a peaceful and tranquil society. Their intermediate standards include being able to bring glory to their ancestors, to become renowned, hope for their sons to excel, wish for their daughters to succeed, having wealth within their family and a bustling life outside, and having the capacity to seek revenge or settle scores. Their highest standard: to contribute significantly to one's own ethnicity, religion, group, political party, or country, to leave a legacy and be remembered for generations to come. Emotion and reason are the primary factors considered by mortals in handling all matters. They are the most tormented group among the population, as they possess thoughts, emotions, rationality, and ambitions, yet find themselves entangled in the mundane world. They must constantly interact with the ignorant and worldly people, battle against the biases of society, contend with their inner desires, and resist traditional ethical and moral norms. Their inner world is often filled with conflicts and regrets. They yearn for personal growth but also seek to conform to societal expectations. They require so much yet receive so little. They often lament the scarcity of time and the brevity of life, feeling as though they are adrift in the river of the world, unable to control their own destiny. As they age, they increasingly rely on fate. Mortals do have beliefs, but these beliefs are conforming, blind, helpless, and arbitrary, rather than based on an understanding of truth. Therefore, the faith of mortals is fragile and cannot withstand scrutiny. It changes with the times and the living environment. The reason why they are called mortals lies in their lack of steadfast faith. They cannot and will not derive strength and wisdom from their beliefs. Generations after generations, they can only exist and perish in the painful whirlwind of the mortal world. Mortals tend to regret the past, overlook the present, and yearn for the future. They will never be content, and the suffering of mortals will never end. Sages. Basic characteristics: they are transcendent individuals who lead their lives with reason. They possess clear minds, knowing when to advance, when to retreat, what to seek, and what to forego. Their life goals are to pursue health, wealth, and freedom. They have their own principles and adhere to societal codes of conduct. They can freely manage their time, maintain harmonious and happy families, live in harmony with society and nature, and are mostly liberated from the trappings of fame, status, and wealth. They control their own destinies, move with ease, have extensive knowledge, communicate with civility, display noble conduct, are understanding and reasonable, optimistic, and kind-hearted. They are the pillars of civilized society. Sages are gems among people, possessing significant intrinsic value. Regrettably, while they escape worldly affairs, they cannot escape the limitations of time and space. In the end, they cannot enter the higher realms of life. Sages are just one step away from truth. If they can self-enlighten or receive guidance from higher beings, they can do their best to complete their duty, achieving tranquility, purifying their hearts, and through cultivation, they can attain complete transcendence, become free from worldly concerns, worries, be free from cares, and transcend beyond the ordinary, and ultimately surpass time and space to enter the realm of immortality. Saints, celestials. Basic characteristics: wise individuals who lead a spiritual life and have attained enlightenment. They have knowledge of the mysteries of the universe, the truth of life, the evolutionary laws of the 36-dimensional spaces, and the essence and meaning of life. They have not only freed themselves from the temptations of wealth, fame, status, and beauty but also from the constraints of time and space. They live carefree lives, transcending worldly concerns. Saints have mastered the mysteries of thinking, having understood the mechanics of energy transformation. They can essentially manifest their thoughts into reality, turning life into an enjoyable game, and death has become a beautiful aspiration. Saints do not overly concern themselves with the sufferings of the mortal world. They never interact with worldly people and avoid interacting with mortals. They typically reside in secluded areas near picturesque mountains and rivers, disguising themselves as ordinary citizens, leading a tranquil life detached from worldly strife. They enjoy solitude and value friendships with like-minded individuals. They are not fond of noise and are characterized by activities such as drinking tea, playing chess, reading, and practicing meditation. Sometimes, they may spend an entire day playing with ants or engage in singing competitions with birds. Whether the birds' songs are more melodious or their own hoarse singing sounds better, it doesn't matter to them, as long as it's fun, they enjoy it endlessly. Attaining the realm of a saint undoubtedly leads to the 1,000-year world. Above is the classification of people, and by now, I'm sure most of you have an idea of which category you might fall into. If you find yourself as an ignorant person, you might not be able to pinpoint your position, and after reading this classification, you might feel very frustrated, even wishing to throw a few punches at me. If you identify as a worldly person, you may hold some jealousy in your heart because I've exposed your mindset and peeled back your facade. For those of you who see yourselves as mortals, reading this might evoke a sense of sadness. When you witness that some people in the world seem higher and happier than you, an unexplainable jealousy and envy may arise within you, especially when it comes to wealthy individuals. You might have thought that once you become rich, others would envy, respect, and follow you. However, you never imagined that in the eyes of sages, you're still an ordinary person, and in the eyes of saints, you're just an ignorant one. On the other hand, if you identify as a sage, you'll likely be overjoyed, feeling as if you found a long-admired bosom friend and suddenly realize that your wealth is boundless and that you can benefit infinitely from it. If you consider yourself a saint, you might laugh heartily and criticize me for being idle and wasting time. Regardless of whether you feel anger, jealousy, happiness, or laughter, as long as you take a moment to calm your mind, you'll find a sense of gratitude deep within you. After all, you've come to understand your own state of existence and where you should strive to develop. If you aspire to attain pure spirituality and progress towards the level of a saint, I have categorized human qualities into 18 grades for your reference. Super Celestials Creating Human. Xiefeng. In order to demonstrate its power, under the permission of the greatest creator, 4.5 billion years ago, Jesus led hundreds of million celestials start the project of creating solar system. They first created the Earth, then the Sun and other planets in the solar system. They made very careful calculation and design on the size, position, rotary speed of the Sun and the Earth. After that, Jesus sent near 100 million celestials come to the Earth with the identity of intelligent beings. They started large scale of creation on the Earth. The water, air, and most green vegetation and grazing animals are the creations of those celestials. Microbes were self-created as the result of water and photosynthesis. This process, from beginning to the end, lasted for nearly 2.3 billion years. Before animals were created, there was no moon. When the first group of animals were created, celestials found that if they left Earth, animals could not survive without ebb and flow, wind, cloud, rain and snow. Therefore, they built two big smelters at places not far from where is now Cairo, Egypt and the Atlantis. It is now located at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, and made many airships, UFO, using the special smelted metals. And sent the animals they created to everywhere on the Earth. At the meantime, they used these airships to transport smelted metals to a space station. They then created a huge hollow ball with a rough surface, silver and reflecting. This huge ball is the moon we refer to today. 1 billion years ago, the night on the Earth was very bright. Later, because the dust from universe continuously dropped on the moon, it was no longer as bright as before. The UFOs we occasionally saw are not from outer space, they are from the center of the moon, which is a huge warehouse. It stores many tools which have been used by celestials. UFO is also one of the tools. There is a door on the moon, it can be opened at any time. There is a giant palace under the mysterious Bermuda Triangle, that is the temporary lodge for the visiting celestials. Celestials can remotely control UFOs in the warehouse of the moon to monitor the Earth according to their needs. The Earth of 200 million years ago was very beautiful and prosperous. The place where Sahara Desert currently is located had many green mountains and a dense growth of green trees, birds were twittering, flowers were blossoming. It was once the most beautiful places for green plants and animals. Celestials used to love singing, dancing and playing on the Earth, and they were so enjoying it and almost forgot their home. Unfortunately, the happy scene didn't last long. The happiness of celestials provoked the anger of Satan. In order to show that he had superior power, he sent another group of Buddhas to the Earth 250 million years ago, and started to create flies, mosquitoes, bugs, rats, scorpions, centipedes, snakes and predators in large scale to let these animals fight with the creations of celestials. Moreover, they even appeared in the form of dinosaur, destroyed the plants and animals all over the world out of jealousy. This inharmonious situation made the greatest creator very sad. At about 130 million years ago, he destroyed all dinosaurs by applying one kind of plague, and put all their souls in the prison of the cathode black hole. Unfortunately, there were a pair of smart dinosaurs hid under the bottom of East China Sea and were able to survive. They kept dormant underwater for nearly 100 million years. In about 1,600,000 years ago, in order not to let the Earth become idle, the greatest creator designed a life structure himself, which is the draft version of current humans. He then gave the design paper to Jesus and led him to implement. The helpers of Jesus, celestials, started to make new lives according to this design. In order to receive the energy of the greatest creator sending from the universe, also to accumulate energy for creating this special new life and speed up the process, they built many laboratories in the place where now is Egypt. These laboratories are exactly the well-known pyramids of Egypt. Because of the lack of experience and some steps were missed, the first lives they made were monkeys, and then after were apes. Of course, this wouldn't please the greatest creator, so they continued testing and making. The first group of human they successfully made are the black men in Africa, and the second group are native Indians in America, the third are the white men in Europe, Egypt, and North Africa. When they finished producing 3 groups of human, they started to evacuate, and in order to avoid Satan creating difficulties again, they destroyed everything around the pyramids before they left, which is also why Sahara is a desert today. But, where do most people in Middle East come from except Egyptian? They are the descendants of Adam and Eve, as what says in Bible, they were created by another God. This God knew that his rival started to create humans on earth. He created a secret Garden of Eden in about 7,000 years ago at Jerusalem, and made Adam and Eve. After they were created, he destroyed the Eden to avoid the attention of his rival. This is why Cain was afraid that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Who was he afraid of? The humans created by another God. This is why his God still protected him, even Cain killed his brother. Whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. So today's conflicts between Israelite and Palestinian are actually the conflicts between brothers and our family affairs. And let's now talk about East Asian and Southeast Asian. They were not created by any god at all, they were the embodiments of dinosaur. At about 7,500 years ago, when the pair of dinosaur knew that celestials created human on the earth, they sneaked from the sea, and changed into human form, started to propagate along the Yellow River, and the descendants gradually spread all over Asia. One of the groups went upwards, crossed the Pamirs to India. They want to mingle with the descendants of Adam and Eve to avoid the punishment of the greatest creator again. This is why Chinese people always say, China is the hometown of dragon, and Chinese are the descendants of dragon. This is also why Buddhism originated from India, but blossomed in East Asia and Southeast Asia. Why it didn't become popular in India? The ancestors of Sakyamuni went to India from Yellow River. When they arrived at India, they found that their consciousness was not compatible with that of the descendants of Adam and Eve, and had to find new home. Because in their subconsciousness, there's a very deep call, that is to go home. Which home? The Elysium, before they came to earth. Sakyamuni found he came from Elysium after his enlightenment. Although he had a blurry picture of his home, he still remembered something. Once this subconsciousness was awakened, he decided to be engaged in the cause of preaching to other descendants, and shifted the focus to the east led by of his subconsciousness. That's also why Bodhidharma came to China to preach Buddhism. Because Indian people were designed by a different creator, they were reluctant to accept the theory of Buddhism because of the absence of the memory in their subconsciousness. That's also why although Buddhists had made great efforts, it still failed in India. However, in East and Southeast Asia, people had the instinct sense of the existence of other dimensional spaces. It is quite easy for them to resonate with the theory of Buddhism. Once they accept it, it is rooted and lingers in their mind. The state, vague and intangible, which Taoism pursues and the Elysium world Buddhism pursues are something rooted in the subconsciousness of the yellow race. They feel and believe the existence of the space that is hard to explain. In fact, the space where the yellow race yearning for is the place where the dinosaur had lived in 10,000-year world and Elysium world. Therefore, even after 10 million years, the message is still embedded in the genetic structure of the yellow men. East and Southeast Asian tend to cultivate Buddha and celestial. It is driven by their inner voice. Although some people accept the theory of Bible, it is not an acceptance out of their heart, but a rational act. People of other races are very easy to believe in God, but quite reluctant to accept Buddhism and Taoism, some people might believe in Buddhism and Taoism, but it is just a blind pursuit of mysterious phenomena. They are impossible to reach the state of resonance of soul. Then, what is the truth of the Great Flood in Noah's time? First, I want to explain something. Before the Great Flood, human beings have been through extinction already. The humans created 16 million years ago were very strong and tall, they were cruel and very aggressive, they maltreated animals and were very greedy, they didn't even respect the greatest creator, not to mention gods and Buddhas. The city of Maya, ancient Egypt and Atlantis were their activity centers. They had the power of God, Buddha and Celestial but were lack of their virtue. They always went to 10,000-year world and Elysium world to make troubles, and did whatever they wanted to do, which had become a big threat to the order of the universe. Finally, the greatest creator had to order some gods destroy the city of Maya, ancient Egypt and Atlantis in one night, only left some weak and less intelligent humans on the earth to continue the propagation of the human species. In order to comfort these men, the greatest creator created another planet which is even more beautiful, 960 light-years from the earth. It is the 1,000-year world. The greatest creator told these people, if they behave well and don't make trouble, they would be able to go to 1,000-year world to enjoy happier life after death. However, these humans started to forget the warning when the population grew to large numbers and its civilization advanced. They began to ignore the greatest creator and thought he was nothing special. At about 4,700 years ago, humans on the earth thought that they were able to manage the earth themselves without the help of the greatest creator and gods. They ignored their teachings and insisted their own will. Their pursuit of physical and material comfort far exceeded the pursuit of spiritual growth, which had caused moral degeneracy and the advancement of brute. It strongly destroyed the harmonious atmosphere of the earth. Moreover, the two gods managing the earth had different ethics, thus fought with each other, which made the greatest creator so angry that he turned around the earth's dip angle. Huge storms poured down. It lasted for 40 days and nights, and drowned most humans and animals. The evil act of humans were then curbed. But after the Great Flood, Noah's family were not the only men survived. There were survivors all over the world. This can be verified in many Chinese historical records. The story of Dayu flood control is a hard fact. There is also detailed narration in the legends of the Indian tribe Mandan, North Dakota, America. This is the outline of the origin of human beings. The 18 truths one needs to understand in life. Xiefeng. March 16, 2024. Life is but a journey of life in the human world. Life is finite, yet the journey of life is infinite. The pursuit of happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss is the main course of life. Everything else is but a detour. If you hold power and influence, the country serves as your haven. If you are powerless, the country becomes your prison. The person who guides you towards heaven is your kin, the one who obstructs your path to heaven is your foe. When a person uses money as the standard of value, they have lost their humanity. When a person dares not say no to power, lifelong servitude becomes their inevitable fate. If you have not fully grasped the teachings of Jesus, Sakyamuni, and Laozi, refrain from teaching and guiding others. Once you do, you have set foot on the path of the devil. Once married, you willingly relinquish half of your sovereignty in life. Henceforth, life inevitably becomes beyond your control. Interpersonal relationships are unreliable. Rather than spending time and energy on them, it is better to learn and enhance your own survival skills. To earn the respect of others, you must possess value. As long as you desire to gain advantages without effort, you will inevitably fall into a trap, if not a human trap, then a devil's trap. Honesty is always the best policy in life. If you are a commoner, simply carry out your tasks quietly, avoid wasting time and energy arguing, debating, and quarreling with others. If you wish to receive help from the heavens, earth, gods, and people, you must clearly articulate your desires and requests. Once you crave comfort and pleasure, you embark on the road to corruption and degeneration, and pain and disaster will inevitably follow. What you receive and what you give are always equal. This is the way of heaven, and also the principle of nature. Therefore, do not rejoice in secret because of what you receive. and do not harbor resentment or regret for what you give. Revere the greatest creator, revere life, revere nature, and follow the path of nature. Those who are selfless and devoid of ego are the finest among people, they are the saints. Following these selfless individuals will lead you to heaven. The acquisition and consumption algorithm of the F-coin. Xiefeng. March 30, 2023. If you have acquired 5,000 F-coins, you can enter the paradise on earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, where basic living conditions are provided for you. Retirement is not a problem, being a bridegroom every day and a bride every night is not a problem, and you no longer have to worry about food, clothing, shelter, aging, illness, and death. You don't have to worry about unemployment, loneliness, let alone theft, or fraud. This place is so beautiful that you'll exclaim, "It's awesome." So, how do you get F-coins? If you distribute the ChatPlanes webpage to 10 people, you will get 1 F-coin. If you distribute it to 100 people, you will get 10 F-coins, and so on. If you distribute the 800 Values for New Era Human Being, 3rd edition, to 10 people, you will get 1 F-coin. If you distribute it to 100 people, you will get 10 F-coins, and so on. If you make a contribution to Lifechanyuan International Family Society by donating $5, you will get 1 F-coin. If you donate $100, you will get 20 F-coins, and so on. If you volunteer for the paradise on earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, you will get 2 F-coins for a day's work and 20 F-coins for 10 days' work. If you help outstanding people in various fields, such as scientists, musicians, professors, doctors, thinkers, entrepreneurs, writers, famous craftsmen, singers, and dancers, out of their difficulties in life, you will get 100 F-coins for each person you help. If you save someone from the brink of death, no matter for what reason, you will get 100 F-coins. If you participate in rescue work in the event of a natural disaster, you will get 2 F-coins per day. If you volunteer for no pay, no matter where you are, you will get 1 F-coin per day. As long as you provide conclusive evidence, a certificate will be issued to you. With this certificate, when your F-coins accumulate to 5,000, you can enter and take pleasure in the paradise on earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator. The following are the details of how F-coins are consumed. Killing a wild animal, including a wild bird, will consume 1 F-coin. Injuring a person will consume 100 F-coins. Fighting with someone once will consume 2 F-coins. Quarreling with someone once will consume 0.5 F-coin. Insulting and framing someone once will consume 5 F-coins. If a student reports a teacher, a disciple reports a master, or a child reports a parent, the student, disciple, or child will consume 10 F-coins. Stealing someone else's property will consume 2 F-coins per time. Raping someone will consume 100 F-coins